Hi, I'm Elizabeth, and this is my audience. All right, here you go.
Yes, I saw that.
For my speech, I am going to be talking about verbal communication. More people should know about verbal communication and what it entails, such as words can mean different things. Words have power. Words can have many different kinds of meanings, and even the way it's said can have power as well. I'm on my own personal quest to becoming a better speaker, and I believe that there is more to verbal communication than just words. In this speech, I will be discussing the different communication tools, such as metaphors, symbols, denotation, connotation, neologism, etc., and how they can affect verbal communication by adding words and phrases that can change the meaning. Let's start with meaning. Everybody across communication has meaning within what they're saying. There can be symbols which is something that represents something else, and it can combine to form languages, which is what we're speaking currently. The triangle of meaning is where a symbol, a referent, and a thought all come together to communicate something. Let's say somebody thinks in their mind, I would really like to get a dog, and they communicate that to somebody. The person that they're communicating to can take it as two different things: the word dog or the actual referent, the dog, big or small. The denotation and connotation are sort of opposites. Denotation is a dictionary definition of a word, such as blue would mean blue. But connotation is where a word can have an imposed meaning, such as blue can mean sad. Even though that's not what's said, it's what's implied. Now let's look at verbal expression. Within verbal expression, there's observation, thought, feeling. Observation, thought, and feeling. Observation is when you're expressing to somebody what you observed. An example of that would be, Paula asked me to bring these files to you. You're expressing to that person that Paula asked you to bring those files to them. It's what you observed. A thought would be where you're expressing your conclusion or your judgment about something that you observed. Such as, the students nowadays seem to have less authority. What I meant to say was, the students today have less respect for authority. That's something you think. You're expressing what you think. Feeling is when you communicate your emotions to somebody, such as if somebody says, I'm trying to save up money for a vacation. Would you mind if we canceled our date night? While that is pretty selfish, you're expressing your feelings to somebody. You're expressing what you want. The outcome of a communication consists of commissives, neologisms, supportive messages, and non-supportive messages. Commissives include communicating your intention, and action will follow. There can also be consequences to those actions if the actions aren't followed through. Neologisms is when somebody has a newly coined term and it's used to create meaning to a concept. Supportive messages are when you're communicating openly and honestly with somebody without pushing them away and without being mean. It more brings people together. However, unsupportive messages is when you make others react negatively, make them react defensively to what you're saying. And it separates people because of the negative feedback that you're giving them. Such as global labels, sarcasm, dragging up the past, negative expression, judgmental you messages, and threats. In conclusion to this speech, verbal communication consists of all of these different aspects. They create different meanings that work together in communication. As you now understand, there is more to communication than just words. As we've seen in this discussion, words and phrases have meaning within a conversation, such as symbols, as we talked about, can affect what something means. Denotation and connotation can be seriously, that's what that word means, or an implied meaning. All these things together make a big impact on a conversation with each other, and it helps compute meaning to someone that is speaking. Thank you.
Are you finally done now?